Movie sequels usually suck, especially when it comes to horror sequels. Producers and studios get greedy or play it safe by making too many sequels, prequels, reboots, and remakes. But there are a handful of horror sequels that are actually superior to the first one. I'm Emily, and here is a list of the top 10 horror movie sequels that are better than the original. Before I break it down, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you're really into horror, check out our video review on Hereditary. The Devil's Rejects was the sequel to 1,000 Corpses, and it's Rob Zombie's best film. It has a 70s grindhouse aesthetic, and the storytelling expertly blends dark humor and intense horror. Look out for the third film of the series, 3 from Hell, releasing in 2019. Rec 2 is the follow-up to Rec, an intense zombie thriller directed by Jaume Balajarro and Paco Plaza. Rec 2 starts immediately where the first movie left off, focusing on a special forces team who are in the midst of a chaotic battle with zombies. The filmmakers made 2 more movies for the franchise, but this one is by far the best. Ouija: Origin of Evil is a prequel set in the late 60s. The first film, Ouija, was extremely mediocre but made lots of money at the box office. Ouija: Origin of Evil, which was directed by Mike Flanagan, is much better than Ouija and is genuinely a good horror film. Friday the 13th has the most sequels of any franchise with a total of 11. The best one on the long list is Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. The plot is exactly what you would expect. Jason is typical Jason stalking a bunch of teens by a lake. But what sets it apart from the rest is the suspense, acting, and gory effects. Obviously, when they gave this film the title The Final Chapter, it was meant to be the 4th and last film in the series. But this franchise may never die, just like Jason. Bride of Chucky is the hilarious over-the-top horror comedy sequel to Child's Play. Chucky, the little possessed doll, finds his match in an equally demented doll named Tiffany. Naturally, the two come together in evil matrimony and leave a trail of murder behind them. Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly totally and eerily nail the voice acting.
You son of a bitch! What have you done to me?
You got your wish. You're mine now, doll.
When Blade director Stephen Norrington turned down Blade 2, producers sought out Guillermo del Toro, who proved to be the perfect choice. His love of the genre and skill at creating dark fantastical imagery created a much better film than the first Blade. With Blade 2, del Toro was able to take the dark superhero tale into undeniable horror territory.
So exciting.
The original 1931 film Frankenstein is one of the most important horror films ever made, and it's had an undeniable influence on the genre. However, the sequel Bride of Frankenstein, made 4 years later, is even better. By introducing the concept of the monster's mate, Bride of Frankenstein proved that the genre could also include a little romance. The Purge: Election Year is the 3rd movie in the Purge franchise, and it does the most to exploit the concept of one night of complete anarchy. The 4th movie, The First Purge, will be out in July 2018, so let's hope they continue to get even better. Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's sequel to the 1968 classic Night of the Living Dead, is a masterpiece of modern horror, and one of the most loved horror movies of all time. In 2004, a remake of Dawn of the Dead was directed by Zack Snyder and written by James Gunn, but the original from 1978 remains to be the best. Evil Dead 2, the sequel to the 1982 classic The Evil Dead, is the most fun you could ever have watching a horror movie. It includes more insane comedy and gore than the first one, plus more Bruce Campbell.
Gotcha, didn't I, you little sucker?
Very few horror sequels have surpassed the original movies, but these follow-up films are the exception. I hope this list will get you to revisit some of your favorite horror franchises or help you discover a new one. Thanks for watching.